Hey YouTube! So I am here to record the video review for The Haves and the Have-Nots Season 5 Episode 2 titled Searching for a Mother's Love. Now, I don't quite know what the title had to do with the episode. Maybe I missed that part, and if you understood it, maybe you can comment below and tell me, but I didn't get it. Anyway, it was a decent episode. There were no like, oh my gosh moments, but it's moving along much faster than usual. So anywho, I'm just gonna dig right on into it. Okay, so the episode starts off where it left off with Veronica like screaming, begging, pleading for help from Melissa, who is sitting over to the side right next to a car that can blow up at any minute, and she is just like laughing her head off, and she is enjoying every moment of this, and she's like, no, like, I want you to fry. I'm so happy about this. Wait until Jeffrey finds out. He can't stand you just as much as I can't stand you. He is literally going to like dance all over your grave. This is great. And she's like, Melissa, still screaming and like even starts crying. Melissa is eating all of this up because she's like, no, I want to sit here and watch every minute of this because you're going to die slowly. Just like you watched my dad die slowly and you didn't care. So in this moment, I'm not going to care. Okay, so before Melissa's wishes could come true, Benny and Mitch like are just coincidentally in Tyler Perry world driving by, and they drive by, they see a car flipped over, somebody sitting right next to the car staring at the car. So of course this looks like an odd situation, so they get out to run like to help to see what's going on. They try to tell Melissa to get away from the car. She's like, I don't care, I'm enjoying every minute of this. Okay, so like Benny's trying to help the woman that is stuck in the car. He tells Mitch to go and call the ambulance. So Mitch goes back, and I'm assuming he's calling the ambulance at this point. Benny wants to like be a hero, so he actually starts climbing into the car to get the person, and Veronica at this point is like fighting him, trying to like push his hands away. First of all, why would you be like reluctant to get help from anybody at this point? If somebody is climbing in the car, they're risking their life. That means that they're trying to save you. They're not just getting in there to taunt you. So why would you even, whatever. Anyways, so he notices that it's Veronica, so he's like, Mrs. Harrington? She's like, Benny? And then finally she accepts his help. And he's able to like drag her out of the car. And Melissa is like, oh my gosh, here you go, having to be Captain Saver, you know what. So, anywho, so they finally get her out. So, that scene is done with for now. So then it takes us back to the hotel. Jim is talking to Broderick, the hotel manager, at the front desk. And he's like, my room key won't work. And Broderick is like, yeah, because the credit card that's on file, that's not actually your credit card. He's like I said, my room key doesn't work. He was like, well, we're going to need David Harrington here present, and we're going to need his ID in order for you to be able to get into that room. And Jim is like, look, Broderick, I'm not about to keep going through this with you, okay? You already know that my wife owns this hotel. You will not hear the end of me. I will burn this place down to the ground. Like, you already know that I know about you and my wife. Which at this point I'm like, has Broderick and Catherine had something going on? I don't know. I'll get to that later. But anywho, Broderick is like, look, there's no need for that. Let's just pretend like David Harrington is here, and David Harrington is checking into this hotel room. Here's a new key. Okay, so Broderick is kind of like enjoying taunting Jim because he's seen Catherine do it like effortlessly. Okay, anywho, so Jim is back up in his room, and he's watching a news clip, and on the news clip, the same guy that is a lawyer, like, doing an investigation on, like, Jim and, like, the Criers and the Harringtons. This is the same guy that is also investigating Jennifer Salison, the old DA, her murder. And on the news clip, he's saying, you know, we're coming very close to finding to basically closing the case for this Jennifer Salison murder and finding out who's in charge. And Jim is just like laughing because he knows it's Catherine. He knows they're really not close to finding out, but whatever. So he feels like he's free and clear at this point. So then there's a knock at Jim's door. Jim didn't answer. Then Jim's phone starts ringing, and it's Oscar, aka Brandon. So he finally lets Oscar in. Oscar is giving him the update on Wyatt. How Quita and the other guy that Quita was with were tried to steal Wyatt's money from him. They had his card information. Lets him know the police caught Quita, but the other guy wasn't caught. But he's not going to be able to get Wyatt's money because he's not a smart enough criminal for that. And Wyatt was caught in the first place because he was trying to buy drugs. So Jim is not shocked by any of this information, but Jim is like, you need to get me that inheritance money. So at this point, Oscar is like, I'm more than confident that I can get that because your son doesn't seem that smart and they're not that smart. So I'm going to need an account number to send this to. And so Jim is like, you're that confident? He is like, I sure am. Okay, now mind you, this is a $12 million inheritance, so I'm sure that Oscar is going to get a pretty penny out of this. Anywho, so then he's like, okay, I'll send you the account information. And he's like, good, okay, I'm glad you're confident. Okay, then Jim, before Oscar leaves out, he tells Jim tells Oscar that he needs to get in touch with someone named Sarah Duffy at the DA's office, but he needs to keep it under wraps. He doesn't need anybody finding out about this. So we'll find out more about Sarah Duffy in the future. Okay, so next thing you know, it is like we're back outside at the scene of the car accident, and Benny is talking to the paramedics about Veronica, asking if she's going to be okay. At this point, they're not quite sure. We know because of future previews for future episodes, Veronica's going to be just fine. Like, the Ice Queen does not die, which is good for the show anyway. Okay, so there he's asking if she's going to be okay, and Melissa's like, I want her to die. And Benny is like, don't say things like that. And then the paramedics was like, excuse me, what'd you say? And he was like, she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. She's like, no, I said. Benny is like, chill out. Look, I don't really know you, but this ain't the time and the place for this. She's like, but I do want her to die. She's a horrible person. I don't know why you saved her. Okay. So at this point, Benny is like looking at her arms like, what? You got cut? Like, you need to go to the hospital too. She's like, no, I'm fine. Because, you know, Melissa's pregnant, but she don't care. Like, if anything happened to the baby, like she wouldn't care because, like, she's being forced to be pregnant at this point. Well, she was forced to get pregnant and all this stuff. So, the paramedics comes up and Benny is like, hey, she needs to be checked in too. So the paramedics asked if she was in the accident. She says yes, but she's fine. And they said it's their protocol. They have to take her to the hospital as well. So she's like, oh, fine. Meanwhile, Veronica is asking for Benny, and she's like laying in the ambulance right now. And she asked Benny if he can ride with her. Now, at this point, Veronica typically has like a method to all of her madness. So I don't know if she was just being vulnerable and she didn't want to feel like she was alone. It was just a near-death experience that she had. So maybe she just wanted the support of someone. And she does have like an intimate history with Benny. So maybe that's why. But I kind of feel like in the back of my mind, like, does she have other intentions for having him ride with her? Whatever the case. We'll get to that later on. Okay, so next thing you know, we're at Wyatt's house. We see a random guy. I automatically assumed it was a counselor from the drug rehabilitation program sitting on his couch. Wyatt is getting out of bed. Anna is not there. Now, from last week's episode, we saw like Anna and Wyatt slept together. I knew that was going to be a conflict of interest. In some type of way, I knew Anna was going to flee. In which she did. So Wyatt wakes up. He looks at the dude like, who are you? Like, Wyatt, you don't like freak out the fact that there's random people in your house. Like, first of all, how did he even get in? Anna must have let him in. Okay, whatever the case. He's like, who are you? And the guy is like, oh, nice to meet you. What is the guy's name? Did I write that down? Isaac. He's like, nice to meet you. I'm here to help you. Anna is not able to help you anymore, of course, because there's conflict of interest. So she let us know, and she's being reassigned. And Wyatt is like, dude, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't need help from you. I need Anna. And it's like trying to call her. And Isaac is like, she's not going to answer. He's like, no, yeah, she'll answer. And she's like, Isaac said, no, she's not going to answer. She's not going to respond to text or anything. You're a recovering addict and she's a recovering addict, and clearly something that happened between you two's interaction like triggered her. So it's best for her and you if she reassigns to someone else. He was like, dude, is she fired? He's like, no, she's not fired. This has happened before in our program, and typically this is what we do. We reassign them to someone else. And he was like, oh, so Anna is this type of person? Like, she played me? I'm not the first person she's done like this. And Isaac is like, bro, chill out. That's not what I'm saying at all. This has happened with other people, not with her, but she was very responsible and she wants you to get better, and you can get better, and I can help you. So let me help you. And Wyatt is like, why wouldn't she tell me? Why would she just leave? And of course, Isaac was telling him again, this is standard practice, but I can help you. And Wyatt was like, you're going to get in touch with her. You're going to have her call me. What do you think I'm paying you for? And Isaac is like, you're paying me for your sobriety and to help you along this journey, and I can help you, and you're doing great. I cannot like get you in touch with her. It's not going to happen. You're never going to speak to her again. And so, of course, this is like infuriates Wyatt. So he's like, you know what? I don't want this. You're fired. Get out of my house. I didn't really think that was a great idea for Anna. I felt like she knows that Wyatt had an emotional connection to her and it had been building over time. And the same with her. And she should have been honest with him. And she shouldn't have just left him like while he was sleeping. Like, because he's going to wake up and feel abandoned by someone that was actually helping him. So she should have had that like transitional conversation with him and with Isaac to say, hey, I can't help you because of this reason, but he can help you. I can be like your friend maybe like after you get through the program, but as of right now, I am unable to assist you. I don't want you to feel like I'm leaving you. Like, she could have just done that so much better, and I just felt like that was just like messy the way that she did it. Okay, which is why they got fired. And concerns me for Wyatt because, of course, he's going to go back to his old habits. Okay, so when he fires the guy, Wyatt leaves a voicemail on Anna's phone and was like, why would you just leave me like that? Whatever. Then he hangs up the phone. Then his phone rings again. He's thinking it's Anna, but actually it's Oscar. And Oscar is pretending to be like a credit card company or something, basically saying, hey, people were trying to steal from you. Do you know who these people are? And Wyatt still has like their driver's license, like their wallets and things. So he's like, yeah, it's Queen of Maxwell. And so that's enough information for Oscar because that's really what Oscar wanted. Oscar kept trying to get him to call his bank or his credit card company or change his passwords or something. And Wyatt is like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go down there myself and get all this figured out with the bank. Okay, so Oscar's plan right there didn't work, but there's other ways around it, of course, because Oscar is very resourceful. So we'll get to that later on. Okay, so then we go back to Broderick. So Broderick is in the hotel. He walks back to like some back room in the hotel. And he's like expressing his frustrations about Jim and this whole like, and Jim's arrogance and just rudeness all the way around. He's expressing this to like one of the other hotel employees. Well, when he's talking to him, he's basically like saying like, you know, this can't mess up our plan, what we have going on, but I think, you know, I'm gonna try to get Catherine Cryer. And the dude is like, wait, what? You can't mess up what we have going on. Like, and so Broderick was like, we have a prostitution ring, like how long is this gonna last? So I'm like, okay, so that's what they have going on at this hotel. Same hotel where Candace had spotted Charles, you know, Great Value Obama. So that's why she knew the bartender guy. Either way, I guess him and the guy have some like grand scheme to like make it rich. And Broderick was like, this is not working fast enough for me. That's small money. That's chump change. You know what? I think I can get Catherine Cryer. And the dude is like, she's not going to be seen with you in public. And then he was like, yes, she is. Because she's very unhappy. I can get to her. She's worth $250 million. I found that out from the board that she's on. So, yes, I just met her husband. And her husband is just arrogant, nasty, and rude. And if she could put up with somebody like mean like that, like she has to be like miserable. So trust me, I can get to her. And she won't be nearly as ashamed to take me in public as she would him, because he is just like a pain in the rear. Okay, so the guy is determined he's going to try to get Catherine, which won't be hard, but whatever. So then it goes to Hannah. Hannah's cleaning her house. Her doorbell rings. This, this fine man around her age comes to the door, and apparently he is the builder for the house, and he is there to fix the sink. So his name is Derek. Okay, much better than the dude that she used to crush on. Like, he was like, he looked like a deacon. Okay, this dude looks like, like maybe like his like first marriage didn't work out or something, and now he's like mature and like ready for the real thing, and like, I'm gonna make you happy. So whatever the case, he tells her he built the house. She's like, oh, this is really nice. Well, I'll be moving soon because I can't afford this house. And he's like, well, I have other houses. She was like, I can't even afford half the price of this house. She was like, more like a third of the price of this house. And he's like, well, I have houses that I've built that are a third of this price too. But they're on the other side of town. She's like, look, that's where I'm from. I lived there for 30 years. I can do that. Just let me get on my feet. So he's like, cool. So she has to leave the room because her phone rings. She goes in the other room. The morgue is calling, telling her that little Q left something in his pocket. And like from, I guess, like when he first came to the hospital and they pronounced him dead and there was still stuff in his pocket. Okay, so she's like really emotional about this. So she tells them she'll come down there and get it. She gets off the phone. The builder tells her that he needs to turn off the water to fix this sink. And he asks her, is she okay? Hannah's like, I'm fine, but no, not really. Look, my grandson got killed. Now the morgue has called me, and he left something in his pockets. Now they want me to go get it, and this is just a lot to deal with. He's like, I'm really sorry to hear that. She's like, how long is the sink going to take you? He said 2 hours. So Hannah takes it upon herself to call Catherine, to update Catherine on what she has to do, go down to the morgue. And Catherine, of course, volunteers to, come there with her to support her. And she's like, no. Really, I was just calling you because I want to make sure it's okay if I leave this man in your house. And she's like, oh, yeah, is his name Isaac? Did I just say his name was Isaac? Derek. She was like, oh, yeah, Derek is fine. He's really trustworthy. And I'm thinking, Hannah, did she not just give you the house? Like, you cannot be calling asking for Catherine's permission, like, for everything. But, hey, maybe Hannah's name isn't on the house yet. So if that's the case, I get it. Okay. So she leaves the builder there. So next thing you know, it goes over to David's new place. He is on the floor putting a bed together, and Erica walks in and basically tells him how she went shopping. She only spent $400, but she got herself a wardrobe. And he asked her, does she like the bed? And she was like, it's a little masculine. And then he was like, oh, you're going to have to help me like with my feminine side then, I guess. But he's just so happy to have her there. And she's like, yeah, of course, no problem. Okay, so an unknown number calls David. I was assuming when it called that it had to be, what's his face, Jeffrey calling from jail. So whatever the case, he didn't answer. Now, Candace is at the hotel. She tries to go to the front desk to pay for another night, and they tell her no need to do that. Somebody has paid in cash for her for the next 30 days. So she's like, okay, well, I ain't gonna argue with that. So she goes to the bar, and of course, good old Oscar sneaks up on her. And she's like, get away from me. And he's like, okay, is that the way you thank somebody for paying for your hotel stay for 30 days? And she's like, why would you do that? He said, look, I still need help with this mark. She was like, first of all, Charles has moved on. He said, no, he hasn't. He talks and asks about you all the time. And she was like, how would you know that? He said, I have people on the inside. Okay, whatever. So she was like, no, I'm not doing it. So then Oscar's phone rings, and I guess it's someone at the police station. He's like asking, like, I just wanted to make sure, I wanted to see if you had Quita Maxwell, like, in your custody. And I don't know what they said, but he was like, oh, okay. So then that triggers, like, Candace's attention, like, okay, what do you know about Quita Maxwell? And Oscar's like, don't worry about it. She was like, look, you want me to help you? You want me to tell you stuff? And you need to tell me stuff. So he tells her, like, who he's working for to get Wyatt's money, the $12 million. So she's like, I know that family really well. And she's the one that told him it was $12 million. He's like, how do you know? She's like, can I just help you get this money? I know that I can. And then how much of a cut would I get out of it? He's like, no, I got this under control. I'm doing it all by myself. Yeah. Okay. And then she's like, whatever. And he's like, you know, you should really consider this, Mark. Like, you could be the first lady of the United States. You know how much money first ladies make once their husbands get out of office? Like, millions and millions. Like, you're doing, like, small scale. Like, I'm trying to put you on a big scale. And he's like, what happened to you? Like, when I first met you, you had this fire about you. And now it's just like, what happened? Seriously, like, you just seem so unhappy. At this point, he doesn't know about her son. So he was like, you're just going to keep, like scamming these, like, dudes in the bar till, like, one of them gets mad enough here to, like, maybe get enough courage to kill you. Like, this is small scale. Don't do stuff like this. So, he was like, then plus you've already gotten away with the body. Like, freaking Jeffrey is sitting in jail now for a murder you committed. And she's like, what? Wait, how do you even know that? He's like, look, I have my connections. And she's like, he's sitting in jail. And then he was like, yeah, like, she's like, okay, just get away. So she starts screaming so he can go away. Then she calls Veronica and was like, hey, this is Candace, call me back. Like, because of course she doesn't even know that Veronica turned in Jeffrey at this point. So Veronica is probably the last person for her to call, because Veronica will just end up putting her in jail as well. Anyway, so next scene goes to Hannah at the morgue. She receives the belongings from Little Quincy, and she pulls out a letter that he wrote. I really couldn't read what the letter said, so if y'all know, let me know. Maybe it'll come up in future episodes, but I didn't feel like pausing my TV and, like, zooming in on this stuff. Like, this is too much. Like, just read the letter out loud, okay? Whatever. So, she read the letter and she cried. So, next scene, Justin goes and gets Jeffrey out of the jail cell. We know he's taking him into this interrogation room. It's a shift change, so, like, Justin has more than enough time to do what he want to do with Jeffrey. But before all that, he, like, gives him an update, like, look, I tried to call your dad, but your dad didn't answer my number. So, of course, that was earlier when David didn't pick up the phone. That was Justin calling him for Jeffrey. And so Jeffrey is like, well, you need to go and get my phone. He's not going to answer random numbers, but he'll answer from my phone. So go and call him on my phone. Here's my code to get into the phone. So he's like, cool. Justin tries to get frisky with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey is like, no, I'm not doing that. And so Justin is like, but it's fun. He was like, it's not fun, it's risky. Would your wife think it's fun? So then, like, Justin flips out, like, first of all, you're not bringing my wife into this. And Jeffrey is like, your wife is very much so a part of this. She is a judge. That means she's friends with other judges. That means that you need to keep her happy. You need to talk to her, because you're putting me in a very bad position where I could not get out of here, or I could get a whole bunch of other stuff pinned on me. So you do need to worry about that. So, like, Justin gets in front of him like, do you love me? And then he was like, love you? Really? I don't even know you. I barely know you. And then Justin's like, no, you know me, okay? You have to love me, because if you didn't love me, that would mean that all that I've done is in vain, okay? So I know that you love me. He was like, tell me that you love me. So Jeffrey was like, okay, I love you. And he's like, see, that's all I want to hear. Like, yeah, Justin is, like, low-key, like, thin line between love and hate. Like, he's playing his part just like Lynn Whitfield. So whatever. So he starts getting all touchy-feely with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey at this point has no choice but to comply, because Justin is kind of his key to get out of here. So that's too bad. So, anyways, we go to Great Value, Obama, and Landon. So, Charles and Landon in the room. Charles is having some issue with his app on his iPad that he wants for his kids. Landon is trying to fix it, but he ultimately ends up telling him, you have a high, like, security, like, whatever. Like, you can't look at random stuff like other people because you're the future president. So, all this is being blocked. And so, he's like, oh, dang it. So he's like, I really admire you. You're a cool guy. I've been around a lot of politicians, but none of them are quite like you. You're real. You're the real deal. I like you as a person. Hey, let's go. Wherever you aren't doing anything tonight, let's go out for drinks, like as friends, like Charles and Landon. Charles is like, cool. Sounds good to me. Okay, so I'm thinking, is Landon working with Charles? Is Landon working with Oscar? Is that the inside man? We shall see. Okay, anyway, so David sets up a picnic for him and Erica on the floor in his front room. He's being all extra romantic. He didn't cook for them and everything. His phone's ringing. He didn't answer. Of course, we know that's Justin. Her phone starts ringing. She didn't answer. Then Candace texts her, like, girl, you better answer my phone call. Call me now. So then Erica lies and says it's her sister. What's his face? David walks away. She talks to Candace. Candace is like, look, you better, first of all, do not answer the phone when I call. Second of all, you better have this in the bag, okay? We need to get David Harrington. He is our mark, and this needs to happen. And then so, Erica's like, I'm so sorry that I betrayed you. Like, what can I do to make it up to you? And Candace is like, you can give me $100,000. That's what you can do. And you need to have it by the next time I call you. It sounds impossible, but make it very possible. So then she gets off the phone. David comes back in. He's just happy to be like having dinner with her, and he's all extra in love. Okay, so last, certainly not least, we see Hannah walking down the hall. She locks of the hospital after leaving the morgue. She locks eyes with Benny. Benny was holding Veronica's hand as she was on the stretcher being wheeled into a room. When he sees his mother, he hurries up and moves his hand, and the show goes off. So I'm sure that's where it'll pick up next week. Anywho, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out at mrsblogaholic.com. Bye.